report does arise from the inquiry that Councillor Brown raised at the meeting of Council. And I have been in touch with Mr. Winter as well as some of the other communities that will be affected by this decision by CBC. And the decision is clearly one that's been made by CBC. The CRTC set the stage by requiring a switch to digital effective this August. The United States has already been through that process. Our issue is with CBC discontinuing the signal for the London Market area. Kitchener is also affected, and I believe the presentation you're going to see from Mr. Winter will very clearly outline the areas that are going to be left without service in southwestern Ontario. A service that, as the report indicates, I think we're entitled to as Canadian citizens to expect from our national broadcaster.
Thank you, Grant. Mr. Winter, if you would go to the center podium there, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thanks. I just want to let you know, first of all, Mr. Mayor and councillors, that I'm just a normal citizen that saw this issue and tried to raise it with my MPs, and they didn't get back to me. And I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of all Londoners, not just myself. I'll just bring up the PowerPoint presentation here. So, basically today, we're talking about the CBC's money, but before we do that, there hasn't been a lot of press on this issue, but in areas of the country, of Canada, that has a population of over 300,000 people, they'll be asked to convert from analog television to digital television. This service works with the old rabbit ears, but the picture is in high definition quality and Dolby 5.1 sound. What's really cool about this is you'll be able to get HD quality on your LCD television without getting Rogers or Bell HD receivers. You'll be able to get this over the air. One of the bad things about this is if you own an old CRT set, you'll have to buy a conversion box or you'll have to buy a new LCD TV. So one of the other cost benefits of this is this digital change allows a lower power broadcast, which results in energy savings for all our media outlets. And the government is selling off the unused spectrum to sell to wireless internet companies. And what I looked at yesterday was approximately $4 billion. So the government is going to be making $4 billion off the sale. So who will be affected? And I think I've just covered this already. Anyone that watches television over the rabbit ears, and that is about 30,000 people in London and surrounding area. There could be more. In London itself, we broadcast out to Strathroy, we broadcast out to Woodstock, to St. Thomas. So it's not just London. It's all over southwestern Ontario. So I'm just going to go. That's an example of digital. As you see at the top, you have the fuzziness, quality, and at the bottom you have the crystal clear conditions. You will never be able to get a fuzzy television signal again. Either you get it or you will not get it. So I know that you can't see this. You'll probably be able to see it on the screen. The rest of the people might not be able to see this, but these are all the television stations that are affected in London, in the area. So basically, we have the A channel, we have TVO, we have Omni 1, Omni 2, CHCH, CTS, Sun TV, City TV, CTV, and Global, all going digital. And might I add, TVO is even going digital. The two television stations that are not going digital is Radio Canada, which is the only French broadcaster we have in London, and CBC. In London, I'll just get into that a little bit later, but London is a multicultural city, but also multilingual. And so to be showing that we cannot have French television to to some of our French-speaking people in London, it's just a tragedy. So basically, CBC Television has come out and said that they will not be broadcasting in London because they don't have a station here in London. So basically, it's not just London, and I'll show you on this map here, but it's basically southwestern Ontario. So you've got St. Thomas, you've got Strathroy, you've got Stratford, that will not have CBC. But if you see where the blue lines are, right here and right here, you'll see that Detroit will have CBC television, and Buffalo, where we pay CBC millions of dollars and probably billion-dollar corporations to broadcast from our taxpayers' money and not be able to have signal unless you buy cable for satellite is not good. If you notice up in Algonquin Park here, they will have more reception, and some of it's overlapping, than we will have in London, Ontario. And you can even see here in Oshawa that they will have access to free CBC feeds, yet in London, they will have nothing. They have said that it's going to be approximately $1.2 million to change over to the transmitter here in London. That is actually one of the highest ones that are in Canada. One of the things that we don't know for sure is because they decided not to change over, then we don't know the actual figure. I know I was talking to A-Channel, and their figure is going to be a lot higher than what's forecasted here, but they're still going to digital. So, what won't be over the air come September the 1st? Hockey Night in Canada, National, the Dragon's Den, Rick Mercer Report, Little Moss on the Prairie, Nature of Things. And one other thing I wanted to add is we have a lot of students in the city of London. A lot of students come here for Danshaw and Lester. And normally they just bring their LCD TV, hook it up to the lab ears because they're not going to be paying for satellite, because either they're living in an apartment which won't allow satellite, or they're living in a place that they just can't afford cable, and they want to spend the money on their tuition and they just can't afford it. So we're going to have a lot of people that are not going to be without television that won't be able to watch CBC come September 1st. And a lot of people in London didn't even know this was happening. A lot of people in London didn't even know the digital transition was happening. The media hasn't been on it, they just started announcing it. And I believe that the City of London should step up and help us save the CBC.
Thank you very much, Mr. Winter, and you make a very compelling case, and you have something to say about that. Matt.
Could I just ask that David or staff back the slides up to the map that shows distribution? That's it. I mean, that picture is 1,000 words. Without action, the first thing I wanted to do, I want to thank David for bringing this to the attention of London. When he called me in March, I hadn't heard about this process, and anyone that I asked hadn't either. But clearly, without action, tens of thousands of Londoners will lose access to broadcasts like Hockey Night in Canada, the National, the Rick Mercer Report, and many others. And I think that this represents an excellent opportunity for our members of Parliament to advocate on behalf of London. It represents an excellent opportunity for us to contact our neighbours and work with Southwestern Ontario on all of our behalf. And I think we need to be one voice on this issue. The CBC is a billion-dollar public corporation, and it looks to me, by all intents and purposes, that they're turning their back on London and the surrounding area. The CRTC has clearly stated that broadcasters should, to the greatest extent possible, ensure Canadians do not lose access to free, over-the-air television services as a result of the transition. And we know, by looking at this map, that's not the case. Notwithstanding, Detroit, Buffalo, and Algonquin Park will receive the service, but in Southwestern Ontario, we won't. And I think it's important to note that CBC is installing 27 new transmitter stations across the country, including Toronto, including Windsor, including Ottawa, but not London. And it affects 30,000 people that live in London. The average cost for a digital conversion of transmitter figures, I think, from staff report, from Mr. Hopcroft's report, was about $1 million. And we need to consider that $1 million in the context of $4 billion in revenue opportunity that presents itself to the federal government when the analog spectrum becomes available, when the change is made. So I think that the CBC's mandate is to provide a distinctly Canadian form of cultural expression. It's a contribution to a shared national identity. I think that London's being effectively left behind, and that this is creating a digital divide between those who can afford satellite cable and those who can't. And so if I could encourage this committee to accept that recommendation and to bring this to council Monday following next, this is an issue that I think we need to get behind for all of London. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Paul?
Yeah, just I like Councillor Brown's digital divide issue. That's a great way of putting it, because it is really an attempt to divide out a chunk and underservice a chunk of Canada. I'm concerned about another piece, and thanks, David, for filling my Facebook with all sorts of comments over the last 2 weeks. But I just comment, David, you introduced yourself as an ordinary Londoner. That they would be all so ordinary as you and engaged. So thank you for this. And I think one of the concerns I have, and Mr. Mayor, you may be able to help me, but London's a designated French-speaking community, correct?
Yes.
Is that the right terminology? I
think because of the fact that we have more than 5%.
Yeah, so, which means a lot of our services, maybe Mr. Ferris, am I using the right terminology? Is it designated French-speaking community? What's the terminology that brings about actual funding and MCCU funding?
Your Worship, under the Ontario Works Act and under the current Social Housing Act, London CMS has been designated as a French language services community. So we have that provincial designation.
That's what the French language services community. I think CBC is violating that in the sense that even the Francophone community here will not have access. So I think that needs to be highlighted as a particular point, because it does cost this municipality, and we're pleased to do it. I'm not saying we're not pleased to do it, but we're pleased to do it. A significant amount of money in a number of areas to serve our French-speaking population adequately with a whole broad range of services, and that includes those that are newcomers as well, particularly from French-speaking Africa and Haiti. So I think we really need to emphasize that. I'd like to actually add this, if I could. It seems to me this is, we have asked other southwestern municipalities to be supporting this request. I think it is off the radar screen a little bit. I think SWIA also should be stepping up on this, and maybe we could refer to them as well as to the Board of Directors of SWIA, and as usual to the, particularly to, it is here on FCM, but I don't see AMO mentions here, but they should be mentioned as well. So if we could just maybe add that to section.
Maybe we can add SWIA to D and AMO to D.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, but thank you, David, and I certainly